Oh, yes, I did. Listen, I came on this morning.
Yeah, look at me preparing the camera.
There was a Jody where I stuck my key in the door, and it jumped back in my hand. I stood there like a natural bone man.
So here we are, another day, another vlog. Let's get this thing started. We are at Studio 52 in Vegas with these two lovelies.
That's us. We're lovely.
They are planning on asking me random questions for their Ace Holes podcast, which they will then put on the YouTube and
all audio platforms, Spotify, Google Play, whatever you listen to, we're on it. Apple, iPod.
we will get to some poker. So here we go.
We're already 10 seconds off.
Bad
the
at
clock.
this.
I am. I don't even
Step
know
up
how
to
to
the plate.
draw the other thing. Okay, that's not going to work, but we're going to start with that.
Oh, all right. That is a dog, man. Dog shit. Dog shit. Shit dog.
We are done with this podcast in which they made me draw. She made me draw.
He thought he could draw. He titled his vlog Drawing Dead. We assumed.
We never at one time questioned that it could be true, too. We were so confident that this man could draw.
He can't draw.
I can't draw. What I can do is play some damn poker. Let's go do that. So we are done. We are done with the podcast. That was a really good time. Unfortunately, I can't draw. Despite the vlog being called The Drawing Dead, I'm not a very good drawer. So here's the plan for today. I am debating on whether I play actual live poker right now, or whether I go home, chill, edit, and play tomorrow. But you'll be able to tell what I decided by my attire. If I have this on, I played. Probably just going home. I decided to skip the pokering for the day after doing the Ace Holes podcast and instead met up with our real estate agent at our new house.
My old lady street, oh, that's my man. By the time I had old Jody in my hand, I finally caught up with Joe this morning. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, listen, I finally caught up with old Joe this morning. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, listen, fella, I bust his nose and I crushed his rib. But he stood there waiting, trying to find me still. I knocked him on the floor, and I kicked him out the door. Don't have to worry about Jody no more. Jody stumbled off on down the road, hanging his head, carrying a heavy load. Sad and beaten, and all alone. Goodbye, Jody. Oh, Jody.
The next day, however, I did venture down to the Las Vegas Strip. So, we are back again. It is July 30th. The World Series is over. I am at the Bellagio. I'm going to jump into a 5-10 game. And since the World Series is gone, the games are going to be kind of different. Won't have a lot of Euros in town. There'll be a lot more tourists in the game. It'll be a lot more reggae. Let's just get in there. In one of the first hands that I see, I open King Queen offsuit from the hijack to $30 and only get action from the button. The inner me isn't smiling at all at this 9-5-6 with two clubs flop. Out of position holding a hand with two overs, no pair, and no club doesn't feel good. Not to mention that this type of board likes to hit a lot of the type of hands that the button decides to just call with and not 3-bet preflop. We check and find a pretty easy fold when he fires $40 our way. Look at that. Personal service.
Don't mean to alarm you, and I don't want to harm you. Yeah, I'm just hoping to charm you with a little sweet talk, yeah. If you're missing, you know I'll be there to find you.
We may have had the best hand this entire time, but if not, we definitely have the best hand now. The big blind behaves and plays like she is new to poker in general, and as such, she has been kind of getting bet into a lot when she checks. I'm praying that she is fed up with people winning hands versus her with no showdown, and bet about full pot when she checks this to me. She doesn't snap fold, which does give me hope. But I guess that she's not fed up enough, because she does eventually fold. I'm watching this documentary on this guy that played basketball in like late 80s, okay, most of the 90s for the Bulls, named Michael Jordan. You heard of this guy? Yeah. This guy's fucking good. He's really good. The player in the under the gun spot in this next hand was definitely new to poker. Not only was his play erratic, but he spent a good portion of the session asking questions that even a reasonably seasoned player would know. How does the straddle work? What does run it twice mean? Etc. Here he opens to $30, which for him could mean about anything, and I make a blunder by raising him to $100 holding Queen Jack suited. I call it a blunder because my target villain only started the hand with a little bit more than $300 total. There isn't a lot of wiggle room here. Action folds back to him and he insta-snap shoves his remaining chips into my face. Oops. Not much I can do here. Lesson learned. Fold. That same player, this time on the button, opens to $30 again a few hands later. At this point, I'm going out of my way to play hands with him. Any semblance of GTO versus him has been abandoned. We are fully in the exploit streets. So I defend my big blind with King 8 offsuit. Ace King 4 with 2 clubs. I check and he continues for another $30. Look, sir, I have a pair and you're all over the place. Call. You can't see it on cam, but I could in real time. He didn't like that I called. The turn Jack of clubs brings in the front door flush and both of us check here. The river deuces spades should be a blank. Now it's decision time. Do I lead? Do I check call? Or check fold? I really don't think he has much. He hasn't been the type to check back when he has top pair. I also haven't seen him bluff rivers, and most new players don't. So if he has complete air, he's going to check, and I'm just going to win anyway. If I check and he bets, I'm probably dead. Because like I said, he's not bluffing the river or betting worse kings. If I bet though, he's definitely calling me with an ace, so I'd lose. But he'd also call me with a jack. This guy might even call me with pocket 9s or 10s. Me being called 50% of the time and winning though, it's close. But I'm going to go for it. We toss $70 into the middle. To no avail. He just folds. The saga continues a couple hands later. Here, our new friend, now in the low jack, opens to $30 off of about a $375 stack. From the cutoff, we look down at our favorite monstrosity, Ace King offsuit. We truly hate this hand, but it's good enough to go to war with. Let's fight. Again, we raise to $100, but he doesn't shove this time as he had when we held Queen Jack suited. This time, he does a little chip dance for a while and decides that just calling is the correct action. Him calling leaves him with about $245 or about a pot-sized bet left. Heads up, we see a monotone flop, 8-7-3, all spades. He now donks into me for $100, leaving himself with $145. What? I'm confused. You have 100 behind?
A little bit over, about 141. 300.
His hand can't be that strong, or he would have just shoved pre-flop, or after seeing this flop. I'm holding no pair, but 2 overs and the king of spades. Good enough. I raise enough to cover him and I don't get snap called. That's good. But I do get called. He tables ace-7 offsuit with the ace of spades. Oh, wow. Needless to say, the board runs out clean for him, and he doubles up. This guy is slippery. An orbit or so later, under the gun, I look down at the legitimate version of ace-king. The suited variety. I open to $30. Then the chain of calls begins. Low jack, high jack, and the button all hop on said train. Our new friend is in the small blind, but he is currently using the funds I gifted him from the double up to enjoy the Bellagio massage services. He folds. The big blind now goes into the tank. I'm genuinely hoping he squeezes here. I'm praying for it, actually. My prayers are answered. He raises to $150, which, after my open and 3 subsequent callers, is really small. Now it's my turn to think about this. We aren't shallow, but we aren't super duper deep either. And I have 0 qualms about getting this all in pre-flop, if it comes to that. I 4-bet to $420. Low jack, high jack, and the button fold in between us, and when the action returns to the big blind, he moves all in for about $1,700 and I snap call.
All in.
Alan, I got a call.
Once or twice? We got twice. Twice.
We decide to run it twice, and I wish this story had a more exciting ending. It doesn't. He turns over the offsuit version of my holding, and my additional 3% equity doesn't come through. We chop.
Is there any strategy when something you want to do it twice? Is there any strategy like based on what you hand to do it or no?
No, you're just
Reduces variance.
Yeah.
I wanted to punish him more than once. Sometimes casual bystanders catch shrapnel as I stand in a constant state of wanting to engage with the 5-seat. This is best illustrated here. The low jack, a pretty tight aggressive player, opens to $30, and the 5-seat, now the button, calls. His VPIP was in the 80s. I mean, he's calling with almost everything. Looking at 7-5 offsuit in the big blind, this is normally a pretty trivial fold. But the button being in the pot was like a siren's call, beckoning me to the rocks. I gotta get in there. I call. Ace 6-8 rainbow. This flop, giving me an open-ended straight draw, is great for my hand, but 3 ways out of position, I'm going to play this street pretty straightforward. Check. The low jack is uncapped, and the button, well, who knows? The low jack continues for $30, and unfortunately the button exits. With me holding a potential monster, though, I'm going nowhere. I call to $30. The turn 9 of spades, well, can we say bink? The nuts. Listen, before you slide into the comments section, I know it's not the nuts, but seeing as though the low jack probably isn't opening 10-7 and betting a gut shot into 2 other players, my hand is the relative nut. Wait a second. Ron Jeremy?
That is definitely not the nuts.
Still with an uncapped range and the betting lead, I check it over to the low jack again, and again he bets. $120 this time. A check raise here for me is super strong and would fold out almost everything but the very tippy top of his range. Plus, like I mentioned earlier, he's aggressive. His nature is to keep betting. So let's let him. I call the 120. The river 3 of clubs should be a complete blank. Flushes missed, turn straight draws missed, and there aren't really any new 2-pair combinations created. I stick with my plan on leaning into his aggressive nature. I check. He continues betting, although he sizes down a bit with $140. There's really no need to feign weakness anymore at this point, so we check raise to $420.
420.
He pauses, size, and tosses in the additional 280 for the call. I show him the bad news, and he quickly flashes pocket aces at me before they hit the muck.
Until it's reality, baby, you and me. Yeah, I want you to be happy. I bet you'll be happy with me. And there's nowhere left for you to run but through my mind. So I ain't going nowhere. Ain't got nowhere to be. And I don't want nothing but you right next to me.
In this next hand, we open to $30 on the button with Queen 8 offsuit. Maybe a tad bit wide, but whatever. I'm not a slave to the charts. The big blind, whom I played with quite a bit, defends. I pick up a gut shot on the 3-10-9 rainbow board, but that's about it. The big blind checks, and I c-bet to $40, and again, he calls. The turn deuce of clubs should improve no one, ever, and the big blind checks. And my overpairs, aces, kings, queens, etc. really want to start hammering a big blind defense range here. I sense that the big blind doesn't have much, so I choose a polar size. Overbet. $200. It's going to be really, really hard for him to continue with a 9 or even some 10s out of fear of what to do on the river. It works. He just folds. It's at this point a super annoying player joins the table. Very loud, very talkative, and very, very slow. He'd been on the table directly behind me for the last couple hours, and I was well aware of his entire shtick.
I'm going to make it loose. That's why I got to kick out there. I'm going to make it loose. That table was tight, and I made it loose. And you know what? Oh my God, I'm big, man. I'm big. I love it when I'm big. You know, my lady told me that, oh yeah, baby.
Much time until there's nowhere left for you to run but through my mind.
Those headphones are going to come in.
What's that?
Headphones are going to be really clutch today.
Yeah, I can tell already. 2 minutes in. I'm not in the mood for this. At all. I table changed to his previous table, which now has an empty seat. I don't know how you guys did it. I was 2 minutes into that ridiculousness. I was done. Done. Yeah. You guys are better people than me. Like 2 minutes. I saw 2 hands of that nonsense, and I was like, I'm out. So, new table, and besides the guy in the 7 seat who isn't currently seated, I recognize no one here. It's time to learn tendencies all over again. Early on, we looked on at pocket 9s from the hijack and opened to the standard size of $30. The cutoff then 3-bets to $100, which isn't entirely surprising since there are a ton of hands that would rather 3-bet than call from his position. The button cold calls his 3-bet. That is surprising. I can't picture a hand that responds in that fashion. A lot of players do this with semi-strong hands that they aren't comfortable 4-betting with. 10s, jacks, ace-queen suited, small pocket pairs, that kind of thing. They just want to flop a set when they should just be folding. Be that as it may, I make a pretty easy call with pocket 9s, and the 3 of us are off to a flop. Jack 9 deuce with 2 spades. I check, the cutoff checks, and the button bets $100. Instantly, I know he doesn't have jacks. The type of player that would cold call with jacks pre-flop and then hit the jackpot with this flop would be unrealistically scared of the potential draws on this board. They wouldn't bet 1/3 pot. It would be much bigger. Action is now on me, and I'm pretty confident that my set is good. We don't often check raise over 2 players, one of which is the original raiser, but sometimes it's just time to live dangerously. We make it $270 to go, and unfortunately, both players fold. About half an orbit later, action folds to me in the small blind, and I look down at pocket aces. Hot damn. Definitely not getting cute and doing some weird limping thing, so we just opened to $30 like normal. Big blind should be defending very wide here, so I'm not surprised when he calls. 10-9-9 with 2 spades. This flop hits him a lot more than it hits me, just due to the fact that he should be calling my opens with a bunch of suited 9s, like 9-5 suited, that I'm not opening as much with. That being said, I have aces. We lead small, $20, and again, he just calls. This doesn't mean that he doesn't have a 9, but it's a bit less likely. The turn 4 clubs now puts 2 different suits on the board, but nothing has really changed as far as my outlook on this hand. I bet $70, and when he calls here, I mentally start skewing his range towards him holding a 10. That's now my target. The river 6 of diamonds brings in some flop straight draws, but all the flushes miss. I'm still targeting a 10 because that's where I'll get my value from. I slide $200 into the middle. Remember, this is live poker, not online, so I choose a size that's big enough to make sense and works as a truth serum. It's $200, not chump change to most of these players, and rare is the player that would see my bet line as a bluff and attempt to re-bluff me here. If he raises, I'm dead. He doesn't, though. He doesn't even take that long to think about it before he calls, and his chips end up in my stack. It has been a long time since we had done a legit mid-session update from the Bellagio. A legit one. Let's get to it. Back in the old, familiar mid-session update spot at the Bellagio Valet, and let's talk about this session. I've been in the game for maybe 4 hours. Right now, I think I have a little bit over $2,000 in front of me, and I'm in the game for 1,700. So I get here, I get seated almost immediately, and unfortunately for me, I don't get the best table draw. My table's kind of dead. It's a ton of folding, more than normal. Most hands are just walks. I did manage to pick up ace-king offsuit and double up a guy. I managed to crack a guy's set of aces with the straights, and then some wild man came to the table. Talkative, that's good. Might have been action, maybe. I don't know, because he was super slow, so I changed tables. Immediately after changing tables, then we hit a little bit of the run good. I picked up aces in the small blind, won a decent pot with that, and I won another couple other pots, and so I'm up. I picked up this, I'm out here doing the mid-session update, and now it's time to go back. Mid-session update. It's like riding a bike.
In this town a few days ago. The girl I come to see, you know I love her so.
Button, a man of elder years, overzealous in his ways, hath initiated the proceedings with a sum of 30 gold coins.
They call me Big Bad John. They call me Big Bad John.
Lily, Jamie Kerstetter. I'd love to talk to you more, but I gotta watch. I gotta see who wins this 100K guarantee. It is not always that mine recordings strike true. On the first attempt, a miss may ensue. Twice, nay, thrice, I must lay voice upon mine art, to capture the essence, in truth, to impart.
You look ridiculous.
Come in. We're ready for you. We've been waiting.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
For sure.
Do you want anything to drink?
Our blinds are open.
Not those for drinking, though.
Not for drinking.
I'm so gonna cut that up. Get in there. And if you're wondering why I'm out here during the opening rather than in the parking garage on the roof, it's because of wind. It's too windy up there. Did you check that river? It's okay. It's okay to be scared. You can just say, you know, I was scared. It's 2023. Men can be scared now. Like it's okay. The reason I'm in the game for 1700 is my first table, because I'm on table 2. So I get here, I sit down. So I get here, get seated almost immediately.